What if I told you that one of the strangest wars in history wasn't fought between men, rather, between humans and birds? You'd be surprised, right? And what if those birds couldn't even fly? How would that look like? Let's turn back the clock. In the year 1932, the wheat fields in Australia were quite vast. One day, something moved from across the horizon. Suddenly, there was a black wave rushing from a distance. Emus, hundreds of them. Though they were unable to fly, they charged like a living tide. The stomping from those 6 feet tall birds made the ground tremble like an earthquake. Their eyes were alert, fearless. Nearby, a group of Australian soldiers were waiting, their hands gripped tightly around the triggers of their machine guns. One command, and the silence shattered. The sound from the machine guns shook the surroundings. The smell of gunpowder filled the air. But the emus didn't fall. Instead, they scattered, split into small groups, and vanished in all directions. Before the soldiers could track their movement and fire accurately, they were all gone. The battlefield collapsed into chaos. Soldiers could do nothing but watch helplessly. This strange war was no joke. After World War I, the Australian government gave land in Western Australia to over 5,000 returning soldiers. Men who had survived trenches and bullets wanted to trade their guns for plows. They wanted to build a new life. But that dream shattered quickly. In the early 1930s, wheat prices collapsed. Promised subsidies never arrived. Drought scorched the earth. And in 1932, disaster arrived on two legs. Nearly 20,000 emus drowned by water and crops marched straight into the farmlands. They didn't just eat the wheat, they destroyed the fields. They tore down fences, opening the lands to rabbits and other pests. For the already struggling farmers, this was the final blow. They asked the government for help, and the government responded with guns. On November 2, 1932, 3 soldiers of the Royal Australian Artillery, led by Major G.P.W. Meredith, arrived. They brought 2 Lewis light machine guns with them. The plan looked great on paper. Find the emus, shoot them, problem solved. But the reality was quite different. No matter how hard they tried, the problem didn't seem to get any better. Now, you might ask, could birds really survive machine guns? Yes, and there were reasons behind it. The emus were extremely agile and masters of escape. The 6 feet tall wingless birds can cover more than 3 meters in a single stride. They can run up to speeds 50 kilometers per hour and cover 25 kilometers in a single day. In one famous incident, the soldiers trapped nearly 1,000 emus together. Unfortunately, that exact moment the machine guns jammed. And the result? Almost every emu escaped. The soldiers even tried to chase them with trucks, but the terrain was uneven, making it impossible for the vehicles to keep up with the fast-running birds. Furthermore, ammunition began to run out. Frustration mounted. And the emus? They kept on winning. Seeing such results, the government eventually withdrew the troops and introduced a bounty system. It was announced that farmers would be paid for every emu they killed. Finally, through the relentless efforts of the farmers, the emu population slowly declined. The crops returned. Life became somewhat stable. But for the soldiers, the story was different. After weeks of fighting, the outcome was humiliating. In 45 days, the army had managed to kill only around 2,500 emus. That was the final tally. After that, the soldiers retreated. The operation ceased. By the end of 1932, the war ended without a victory. Newspapers mocked them. Hilarious cartoons were made about the army. And history gave this conflict a name that would never be erased: the Great Emu War. For more stories like this, please visit our website thewisdomia.com.